All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me today. So, we are going to be continuing the work we started yesterday as far as the CoreRAD monitoring API sort of thing. So, basically, the idea is my ISP sometimes has been messing with me, and sometimes my IPv6 default route will drop out. So, what I want the ability to do is, in addition to sending router advertisements downstream to actually direct traffic along my network and provide the default route and the IPv6 prefixes and such, I also would like to monitor the upstream advertisements so we can alert on those and do things like figure out if something is out of place. So the code we wrote yesterday is kind of in support of that, pretty much. So we have the advertiser component, which is what we've been discussing, which actually sends router advertisements downstream. But we also have the monitor component. This is new. So the job of the monitor is to listen for upstream traffic and then do things like log it and alert on Prometheus metrics and etc. So right now we've got the very, very basics in here. I worked on doing a little bit of cleanup to make the tests a little faster today. So if I run go test, so the entire package, like without the integration tests, takes half a second to run now instead of 3 seconds because I made a timeout that was defined in the RFC much lower. So this will make life easier. So it should be fun. So yeah, I guess let's see where we're at so far. So if I check the commit we had yesterday, we had just started kind of like plumbing everything in, like plumbing in the shared types between the advertiser and the monitor. We now have this new min delay between RA's parameter and the advertiser. So this is what I was talking about. The RFC defines this to be 3 seconds, so we cannot send a router advertisement more than every 3 seconds. But we can actually override this now for tests because we don't care about complying with RFCs and tests, you know. So yeah, you'll see here now test min delay between RAs is 250 milliseconds, so much faster. We have the new monitor code. Yeah, I want to write some tests for this. So this is gonna be a fun day. So basically, we want to kind of take what is working with the advertiser infrastructure and think about how to apply it to the monitor. Basically, setting up a connection pair. So in this case, we set up a pair of UDP sockets in memory, and they send traffic to each other back and forth. And we also set up ICMPv6 sockets, and we're actually able to send traffic back and forth between both different types. So I think we're going to start with probably the UDP stuff because it's unprivileged. But we can go ahead and steal a lot of that code and kind of think about how we want to make these APIs better for the future. So it should be fun. Let's see. So I want the simulated code first. Yeah, this is some of the stuff I was talking about yesterday. So for example, like the real tests that rely on ICMPv6 sockets, they require root privileges or capability. You actually set up a VETH pair. You configure the interfaces. Like this whole thing is a lot, you know. And we'd like to do our best to pare that down a bit. So we're going to copy the simulated code, which is right here. And we're going to rework this a little bit and see what we can do to make this a little cleaner for the monitor. And hopefully apply our changes back. So for now, we're going to duplicate. I would like to share code, but for now, we're going to duplicate because that's the easiest way to avoid breaking existing code. And we'll talk through this and we will figure out what we're doing. You went on a speed dating competition and won, both for good looks and the ability to talk at 3x. Yeah, I know I tend to talk pretty quickly, especially when I'm excited or if I am excited, in a good mood, or just had coffee, which, kind of all three. So if it's ever too much, let me know. I do my best to be cognizant of that, but it's tough sometimes. So what's up, Lithium? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, it's really funny. When I started doing conference talks, that was one of the biggest things of feedback I got, is that I talk really fast. But some people really appreciate that because they are able to watch the YouTube videos later on and watch them at 1x or 1.5x instead of 2 or 2.5. And I don't know about you all, but I like to have a little bit of animation when I speak and everything. And I've been to conference talks before where somebody's like, yeah, so there's like this gRPC definition and we make the server. And frankly, I find that incredibly boring. So I don't want to do that. So it's good for radio and learning. Yeah, right on. Do what I can. Okay, so let's build. I don't know what we're going to build. We're just going to kind of work through it together here. So we're going to figure out how we can take this simulated monitor client. We're going to copy this code and we're going to set this up and see what we can do to test the monitor. So a monitor does not have a config at all, so we can actually remove a lot of this. So the interface name is going to be test0. So That can go away. We're going to have a fixed configuration with a test 0 interface and the advertise mode configured to true. New monitor. Let's see here. So the interface, yep. The config, which no longer exists. The dialer, the state, okay. Logger and metrics, okay. We're going to keep this test compare. So this creates the server side of the connection and the client side, and then returns a function that takes or cancels them when we're done. We can remove this. So we're going to create a configure. Oh, we don't even have a configuration here. We just pass in the interface name. Okay, sweet. Const iface equals test 0. iface. So this is going to dial a simulated connection that will be established whenever we begin this monitor code. Oh, interesting. This takes config interfaces. I think we're going to have to create an interface potentially for the metrics, but for now we'll leave this as a to-do item. To-do interfaces. Right now, so I removed the metrics support we added yesterday. It was pretty brief. I would like to basically do the bare bones basics for this if we can, and get started with that first. So let's see here. Did I? Okay, we're good. Right. So the test state, this goes away. We don't have the inconsistent RA hook. We can actually remove a lot of code, which is good. So this is going to be, this is no longer 80. This is mon now because it's the monitor type. So mon monitor, context nil, and then the nil parameter is the watch channel, which is nil for now. That's fine. Failed to monitor. And then we have this client context thing. This is kind of a sticking point with the other code, and I'm wondering if we can simplify this somewhat, but I don't know for sure yet. So I guess let's write what we'd want to test to do and then figure out what works, right? I think I want to remove some of this stuff. So now that we're on Go 114, actually, we have the new T cleanup API, which will actually tear something down at the very end of a test. So I think that might actually be appropriate here. So we could potentially remove the function for cleanup. So I could have something like, let's sketch how we might want this to look. So like cctx, so the client context for test simulated monitor client that takes a T and a test config. Does test config apply here at all? I don't think it actually does. Oh, fun. One sec. Test config. Hello? All right, go please. Cool. Type test config. Right. So v, yeah, we can get rid of that too. Okay, 2 parameters gone. Sweet. We can also get rid of this because, okay, this is looking more simple now. So we can roughly return a pointer to a client context, and that's it because we're going to use tcleanup. So I need to look at some of my old code and see what I did here. So we have this test compare type. So this returns a function which closes the connections. Yeah, okay, so this can be tcleanup as well. So let's see here. So defers will run in the order that they are popped on and off the stack, right? Yeah, so this can be tcleanup, func. Oh, I can actually just pass cdone directly. It's a function literal. So when we're done with the test, we will call tcleanup. This will close the UDP socket pair. Perfect. So we'll create the monitor, and now we want the monitor to be canceled. We cancel the context. So the context will be canceled when we do this as well, I believe. Let's move this and get our ordering right. So defers and tcleanup are both a stack. So we want actions that we want to run first on cleanup to be positioned later. So instead of defer cancel, we will tcleanup cancel. So when the test returns, we will call cancel, and then we will call cdone, which closes the sockets. So we close the advertiser itself, and then we close the sockets. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Why is my syntax highlighting? Or hang on, I think my build is possibly irreparably broken. Let's see. What? Oh, I forgot the package statement. Okay, there we go. Welcome. Hope y'all are having a good Sunday. Kind of a nice chill day. We went to the Kalamazoo Nature Center this morning. It was quite nice. My daughter is listening to you now and is pretending that she understands just like her dad. You know, it's kind of funny. Like, I feel like people, I feel like I get that a lot in the stream, and I try and do my best to explain, but let me know if anything's unclear, but that's funny. That's too funny. Right, so let's get these compilation errors fixed. Let's close all of these for now. We're kind of going to start over. We're going to take the same ideas, but we're going to see if we can make this a lot cleaner for the monitor, and then we can apply those same changes. I think the T cleanup thing, this is really going to make a big difference because I no longer have to return a function to clean things up because it can just be cleaned up at the end of the test. So that's really cool. Let's see here. 84. Okay. Config name. This would be iFace. Yep. 91. Function is undefined. Yes, this can go away. The done function. Oh, so this is my T cleanup, actually. Okay. I guess that's probably a good idea to do that all at once and then also wait for the wait group. So we will handle these later on. So this entire thing is going to be a T cleanup function. So it cancels the context, waits for all the go routines to stop, and then it will close the UDP connections. So that's perfect. And we will return the client context, which can now be defined in line down here. Okay, so the test passed in about half a second. That's good. Again, we made the test much faster now because we're actually overriding the RFC defaults for the tests because who cares? Right. Where we're going, we don't need to follow RFCs. Okay. So now we have a monitor running in the background here via a go routine. So we should be able to immediately listen for... No, it's not going to advertise things. It's going to listen to us. So we need to send it events. I think we're going to need some kind of hook function here to test this, but we'll see. Let's scope in our tests really quick. So go watch dash. You know, I really should have set that reflex thing, but I got off the computer yesterday and just totally forgot. This is my first time like on the computer today. It was just before the stream. So let's see here. Test monitor. Yes. Okay. So if we send this traffic, we should expect to see something happen. So within the client context, we will send... We have an NDP count, right? Yes. Write to. How does this work? I had this working in the other test. I'm going to go take a look really quick. Write to. Yep. Okay, so we're pretending like a pretend router solicitation, and it will be picked up. Or I guess in this case, we would send like a pretend router advertisement, but that's okay. This will work fine for our purposes too. So... initialize monitoring from : 1. So I don't see it receiving our advertisement. Does that mean that it didn't receive it in time, perhaps? Do I not have this wired up the right way? So the client context has fields such as... It's not what I wanted. Hello? Oh, I want the definition for the type, not the type definition, right? So we have a connection that is pointed at the virtual advertiser, or in this case, the monitor. We have the router solicitation, you can send it, the names of the interfaces and such, and then the metrics you want to gather. So I would expect that when this happens, we should see a log of some sort. So I'm curious what I'm doing wrong. So this will be initialized. Is it not initialized in time? Do I need to wait for this to be ready somehow? So this should receive a message here and mention this. So let's try something simple here. So for I 0 less than 3 times second. Okay, so our monitor is now seeing traffic. So for whatever reason, it's too fast. Okay, so we need to gate this until the monitor is ready to be listening for traffic, I think. Or I guess what we could do is, I think this is where we're going to want to apply that callback function already. So let's copy some ideas from over here. So on message, what did I have for this documentation before? Optional hook that fires when an NDP message is received by the monitor. So we will have whoever sent it to us from, and then the message itself. I guess this could be IP, and then the NDP message, because we will allow any type to be detected. This is not on inconsistent array, this is on message. Right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set this up with a channel so that way we can block our function from ending until we receive something on the channel or we time out. So okay, how did I have this before? I think I had like an optional hook, right? One sec. It's kind of funny when you forget your own codes, you end up having to like go back and copy and paste things, but I've been working on this project, you know, like since the end of December, so. MX Browns. This is the Kinesis Advantage 2. So actually, I think it does have Browns. I think that seems right, but I'm not totally sure. What was I? Right, yeah, we want to copy this hook. Yep. So we will log. We will fire the hook after we do logging and metrics, and that way we can observe the effects. So M on message. Do we want to send the control message too? I guess we could. CM, which is the IPv6 control message. And then the from, I'll call it from. I think that's more clear than IP, perhaps, because IP could almost imply like it's your own IP. Okay, so now we have a hook that we can use. So let's hook into that really quick. So we want to... I'm trying to think if we want to abstract this. Like, we could put it here in this function, but I'm trying to think if we want to abstract it away in this function instead. Maybe we'll assume that when we spin up the monitor, we receive at least one message. So we'll block until then. But I think we're also going to want the ability to introspect it out here. But we can actually do that with the metrics, so I guess we're fine. So yeah, we can do it in here. Okay. So my plan is right now is to make it so that this function will block. It will not allow it to clean up until it receives a single message or it times out. I guess we can lower the timeout to like 10 seconds. That'll be probably a better idea. So we create the monitor. We will apply a hook here that sends on a channel or receives on a channel. So but then we don't really care about all these fields. I can't decide if I want to be able to inspect the contents of these fields in the test. I think for the time being, I'm probably going to go without, but we're going to have to go back and revisit this probably. That's okay. We're doing this for the first time, so. We do not care about the contents at the moment. So when we receive a message, we want to unblock a channel that will prevent the test. It will stop the test from running. So let's see here. How do I want to do this? A channel of struct. I prefer the empty channel of structs because this indicates that it is a meaningless signal. It has no value. If you just send like a Boolean, people might try to interpret it as like something happened or did not happen. So I think the channel of empty structs is the better idea. So when we receive a message, we want to unblock this, I think. So that would be roughly... Oh, this would be close to close channel. We want to receive on this? Yes, we'll receive on this. This will block, and then we'll close it when the client sends its first message. What am I trying to do here? The thing is, I just want to make sure the state is all established and things are up and running before we actually get to the point where we are running the tests. Like, we need to make sure that the sockets and everything, all the background Go routines are ready by the time this returns. So I guess I could return like a readiness check or something. How do I want to do this? If anybody has any suggestions, I'd be interested to hear. I'm trying to avoid adding more exported API. I guess I could, but I just want to know when this thing is ready to go. Because in the other code, how are we doing in the other code? Let's go take a look. We are always receiving first. That's how. So we're not sending first. We're always receiving, so we know it has to be ready. Oh, jumped in late. It's not really Gawker doing all at the moment. Yeah, so no big deal. We're writing tests for this monitor thing, and the thing is that this type does not send messages on its own. So when the monitor spins up, eventually the Go routines will be established. Everything will spin up, and we want to know when it's ready to listen for messages. So we want to send it a message and know when it's ready and it's received that message. I guess I could potentially send like a synthetic message or something, but I think kind of what I want is a readiness notification when we get to roughly right here. Like, when we're ready to start receiving NDP messages, I want to know. So I'm debating how I could do that in a tidy way. Let's see. I was thinking this callback function, but I think this isn't really... I don't know if this is going to work for us this time around. So we can invoke on message. So when we receive a message, we invoke on message. Yeah, method on monitor to track readiness. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I had that before with the advertiser as well, but I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But to be honest, I guess that's probably not the worst idea. I think probably something that indicates that it's ready. Yeah, I think it probably makes sense to like return a readiness method. Studyman, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's go with that. Let's go with that for now. I mean, realistically, I don't expect that anybody would ever... These are all internal, so like I'm only building APIs for my own use anyway. So ready. Ready will return a channel of structs, and then it will indicate when the thing is ready. So return m ready c. Ready indicates when the monitor is ready to listen. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm not sure what's confusing. The empty struct thing. Shouldn't that just return a bool? No, I'm actually going to return a channel because that way I can block on it. Because otherwise we have to pull this, right? So if we return a boolean, we have to keep checking it over and over again. But the channel will let us know exactly when it's ready because we'll get a notification via the channel. So I think what I want is every time monitor spins up, we create a new readiness channel and we plumb it in. Today I learned. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll show you how this is used in a sec. I have an idea, but how do I want to do this? This is all single threaded at the moment. So whenever this monitor function is invoked, we want to prepare the readiness channel. So m ready c, make a channel of structs. So this will set up the readiness channel whenever monitor is running. And we will close the readiness channel whenever monitor is listening. So this will be created and then closed when this function starts. So that way we will know, well, I think we actually want to create this elsewhere. We want to probably create this in the constructor? No. Yes? I want something that won't preclude this being able to be started multiple times is the problem. But we want the ability to... Let's remove the callback for now. I don't think that's going to work. So roughly what I'm looking for here is we create the monitor, and then we invoke this monitor, but then the problem is if the channel is created in this Go routine. I kind of want the channel to be created here. Maybe the channel has to be passed as an argument. I think that's probably the case. But then, How does it work if we restart it multiple times? The problem is all the components in this need to be able to restart themselves, because actually no, monitor doesn't need to be restarted multiple times, because monitor is not restarted multiple times, but the other stuff is. Do I want a context here? Maybe if I create like a child context or something and I return the done channel from the context. Is that what I want? This is tricky, needless to say. Fun. Okay. Hashtag the struggle. The ready channel. No, this isn't going to work. So we want the readiness channel. We do want the readiness notification in some way, but we need it in a way that it will not be... We need it in a way that it won't panic if the channel is closed a second time when we reestablish it. So I think we might need to... Every time... So the channel needs to be established before monitor is called. Do we need two channels here? Like, do we need a channel that will block until readyC is not nil? And then also a channel that... This is tough. This is one of those things where I'm kind of... Yo, dog, heard you like channels. That's exactly it, yeah. The thing is, when you expose channels in your APIs, it makes life difficult, right? Let's look over here again. How do I want to do this? So before we get too far in the weeds here, I am curious if something really silly will work. So we could force the go routine to be scheduled by creating a channel here that blocks until this is scheduled, and then we can return down here. So perhaps something like... I know there's also like runtime.gosched, but I think this is more deterministic. So this will ensure that when this go routine is scheduled, or this go routine has to be scheduled now because this one will be waiting for that channel to be closed. How's that work? Oh, something. Excuse me. Did that work? No, it did not. Oh, it did work. Excuse me. Is this non-deterministic? Okay, it looks pretty consistent. I feel like this might be slightly racy. Go test dash count. Let's try 100 runs. Okay. Well, it passes, but did we actually get 100 messages here is the problem. We want to verify... and see what happens. I think we might actually want that callback after all for a different purpose, but we'll get back to that. So we're at the point now where the metrics should be populated slightly. So if I do cctx metrics... Oh, I removed that, didn't I? I removed a metric we had added. Let's see here. So let's add another one. So for monitor metrics. Again, there's probably some more cleanup that needs to be done here. So let's see here. Monitor messages received total counter. Monitor messages received total. Received on a monitoring interface. Yep. The interface in the messages is the fields. Okay, so let's populate this metric and see if we can trigger this to occur. You know, something else I was thinking for this too is I feel like for these metrics, we might actually want to note the address of who sent it to us, because we'd want to know which routers are sending us messages. Because in theory, there's not going to be that many routers. Like, And he's saying network is not going to have more than like maybe a few upstream routers. So let's go with that. Let's see what happens. So interface message from router client host. Let's go with host for now. That seems probably fine. So the interface it's serving on, the host that sent it, and the message type. Messages, monitor messages received total. Let's see here. What did I just do? Interface host message. Right. So given the interface name, the host that sent it, which is the stringified version of that, and the message type. So message type string. Yes. Okay. So now we should increment a metric, and we should be able to see this reflected in our tests. So series? Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Metrics type does not support series output. %t cctx mm. So I've got this. I made this metrics light package. I call it. I'll show you really quick. Basically, I wanted to create kind of a lightweight wrapper around the Prometheus stuff, and I wanted the ability to swap out the Prometheus implementations for in-memory or discarding or similar. So that's what this does. This is a very, very lightweight metrics library that has just pretty much what I need. I'm going to add summaries and histograms eventually. I have not yet. But, okay. Let's continue, and I would expect that this would output some time series that we can view in the test. So, let's try Go Spew, because this is a big map. Right. There we go. Build time, prefix on link. Oh, this is giving me all the series. I don't want all the series. I want one of them. Don't I have I've got a helper for this. One sec. Find metric? Yeah. Okay. So instead of pulling out all the time series, we want to view just one of them because we want to inspect it. So that does this check for me. That's great. We want to use the name of the metric, the name of the metric as our label here. So RA, let's see here. Mon received. Let's call it that. Yep. Okay. And now we will pull that metric out of the time series. So not RA inconsistencies. We want mon received. And we will go ahead and dump the time series. Beautiful. So as you can see here, we have successfully received nothing. So it's logging, but there's nothing in the time series. Huh. Well, I'm already out of water. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, we're back. So I suspect this is going to be one of those racy, non-deterministic things. Let's see here. Test 0 monitor. Why is the... I think the log output might be colliding here. I'm going to hide the log really quick. We can use the metrics as our primary means of communication here. CM is declared not used. Right. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so we have a non-deterministic test now. So if you look at the series output here, we will see we have a monitor messages received total. We have one sample from interface test 0 host : 1 message is router solicitation. So exactly what we'd expect, one value. Perfect. But on another run of the test, you will see it did not work. So this is still not deterministic. We need to find a way to gate this so it becomes deterministic. So I think this might be where the callback function applies, because we can use that to block until we're ready. Yeah, we need some way of communicating this, or else we have to poll, and I don't really want to poll this. I mean, I could. Like, that's fine. It would just be slower and inefficient. You know, having to do things like adding sleeps or like retry loops is not great. So The code works, we just need to make it more deterministic. So how can we do that? Adding a callback function is an option. We could make it so that after you write this, it has to observe some callback firing. So we would establish the callback, write it, and then verify the callback fires. So maybe the callback becomes part of the signature of this function, perhaps. I think that might make sense. And I guess since this is just for tests, we can just fire it on the message itself. So I guess let's bring that code back really quick. Well, we won't write docs or anything yet. Let's see how this goes. So func m message. Yep. We need to fire the callback after the metrics and logging, because otherwise if we fire the callback beforehand, then it's still not deterministic. Right, so now we have the callback function applied, or plumbed in, but it's not applied. Okay, we need to create a callback function here. So when an NDP message is received, we want to do something. We want to unblock. So I think we want something like this. So ready channel structs. When the callback fires, we want to close the channel? No. Send on the channel. We want to send on the channel when the callback fires. And then once the callback fires, we can close the channel. We're going to want to eventually use this to receive multiple messages, I think, is the problem. So this isn't going to work if we immediately close it. Let's go with this for now. So we will write our router solicitation to the monitor. The monitor will process it, and it'll eventually invoke this callback. When the callback is plumbed in, it will send a readiness signal on this channel, and then we will unblock here, and we should be able to observe the metric. And this should be deterministic. So let's apply the callback to the signature here. On message, func m ndp message. On message equals on message. Is nil, is this one of those things where like there's the untyped nil versus the typed function nil? Is that going to matter here? I'm not actually sure. Let's leave it alone. I think that might be one of the gotchas with interfaces. You can have like an untyped interface that is of type nil, or an untyped nil, as well as an interface type that is nil, and those are not necessarily the same value. It's one of those weird, tricky gotchas. Let's see how this works. Okay, so we got the sample again and again and again and again. Okay, this looks like it'll work. Trolledwoods, hello, welcome back. So we need to get a few more. Subscribers so I can get more emote slots. So Trolledwoods, you were hanging out yesterday and having a good time participating. So one sec. There you go. Welcome. Enjoy your sub. Enjoy your error emotes. Love it, right? Yeah, of course, no problem. As mentioned, purely for selfish reasons, I want more emote slots. So we are now 4 subscribers away from another emote slot. And then at that point, we will have the Gopher and the Tux emote down to tier 1 as well, which would be great. So fingers crossed. The Gopher emote should be available for tier 1s next weekend, I think, probably. Yeah, we'll see. So this will work. I think I don't really like this in general because this is boilerplate kind of stuff, but I want the ability to send and receive multiple messages too, so I guess we'll see. So I guess let's extrapolate this out. How would this work if we were sending and receiving multiple messages? extrapolate. No, that's not the right word. What's the term? Mathematical induction. Like we have the case 0 and then 1 and then n and then infinity. I took in college I took a discrete mathematics course, and I remember doing like induction proofs, and like I legitimately thought I was just gonna like, I don't know, it was like losing my mind. Yeah, check out those error emotes. Love it, right? I'm hoping that somebody is streaming later so we can raid them with our error emotes. That'd be pretty funny. So perhaps, I wonder when Large Databank is streaming today. I'm going to send him a message really quick and see if I can talk him into streaming at like 4 o'clock. Are you planning on streaming tonight? I was planning. I would love to send you a raid. I'll probably be done around 4 to 5 p.m. Calc 3 was the reason I changed majors away from engineering. Yeah, I actually was briefly declared a double major in applied mathematics because I thought math was really cool, and I started taking Calc 3, and that was the semester where I think I don't know, I was taking like operating systems and a couple other like pretty hard CS courses, and eventually I was just like, no, forget this. But what was funny is because I was still registered as like a math major, I occasionally got scholarships from the math department because, you know, us Americans, we have to pay for college, so it was nice. Yeah, induction proofs are crazy for sure. I don't remember a thing. You know what's so funny? I found one of my linear algebra assignments. One sec, I'll have to show you all. This is pretty funny. Let's see. How can I pull this up? You're gonna laugh at me, but while we're on the topic of math, oh, where'd it go? Shoot, I don't have it on this computer anymore. No. All right, give me just a sec. I'm gonna see if I can find something for you all because this will be pretty funny. Where is it located? I think it's on my server. I have an archive of all my assignments from school, all my virtual assignments, and I kind of wish I had kept my notebooks as well, but I ended up burning them, like just kind of a victory moment, which is sad. I kind of wish I had not done that, so I recommend keeping your notes and stuff if you're at all interested. Tar. Okay. Once. Wrong scene. Okay. Where did this unpack? There we go. All right. Are you ready for this? Math. What was it? Math 2300 or something like that? Team project. Anybody ever do LaTeX? That stuff's pretty crazy. So check this out. There was one point in my life where I understood how to do this kind of stuff. Let's see here. So we have mathematical proofs. What was I gonna look for? It's like a Fourier series. Yeah, find the Fourier series for the function f of x equals the absolute x whatever minus like. And I remember like figuring this out. And I was like, oh, clearly, well, you know, f of x is approximately equal to pi over 2 plus the sum from 1 to infinity of 2 pi k sine pi k. Like, this is just pure insanity, right? Like, I can't even believe I was ever good at this stuff. What else is in here? There's probably some kind of crazy... Obviously, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, no problem. Just diagonalize the M matrix, determine the limit of n from infinity, and prove your result. No problem, right? That's just all pretty normal math. Anyway... I just thought it was pretty funny. I can't believe I was ever like had that knowledge, like, because in computers you tend to use so little of that kind of stuff on a daily basis, you know. It's like I use like, you know, powers of 2 math and like bit math, but that's about it. It's every day. Yeah. It kind of stinks. I really did like math a lot. I had a couple of really hard math classes. Check out A Programmer's Introduction to Mathematics. Interesting. I will look that up really quick. There's Introduction to Math. Oh, very cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, you know, I really enjoyed some of these classes and stuff. I just don't have the knowledge anymore to like teach myself that sort of thing. Thanks for the recommendation. Okay, so this seems to work pretty well. So now if we run this 5 times, we monitor 5 messages. We can potentially make a scaffold for this, but I think it's probably okay to copy and paste for now. It's on my never-ending backlog of books. Currently 5,000 or 4,587 in the queue. Yeah, I feel that. I got a bunch of very cool books from friends and family for things like my birthday and Christmas. I got technical books. I don't know. I feel like the internet has kind of ruined my attention span in some ways. It's kind of a shame, right? Like there are so many things I want to learn and I love learning, but I just have a really hard time focusing on something like that. I think what I need to do is make it a habit of reading for like 30 minutes every day. And I think if I just read for 30 minutes every day, like in the morning, instead of watching Twitch streams, I could just read, and that'd be pretty great. So I should do that. Got a bunch of CS Java books for my cousin. Just haven't read a single one. Yeah, right. So it's kind of funny because our professor said, "Oh, you have to buy this book for Computer Science 1," and nobody did. And of course you never needed it. So just turn off your phone. Yeah, that's probably one thing. I think the thing is that turning off my phone would be a good idea. Yeah. Can't disagree with that. Hey, Taryn, you streaming today? I could throw you a raid. You should stream. You have some kind of computer that works. You could totally do a stream today. Hey, what's up, Katsu? Welcome. Dude, I want some katsu curry so bad right now. In Michigan, we don't have very much stuff like that, but like when I travel to California, or like Portland, like I've had like katsu curry in a couple places, and it's so good. Oh. Assuming that's where your neighbor's inspired from, I have no idea. Uber Eats. Yeah, so I live in Kalamazoo, so the most interesting delivery options are like Mexican, and like we have like Mexican food, sandwiches, and pizza, and like that's about it. Like we don't really have Chinese. We don't have like Japanese, unfortunately. I'll do a 10p stream. My computer to be able to handle that. I'm really curious how often I'll be heading out to SF for work anymore since HQ is there. Gonna miss that. Yeah, totally. It's a weird thing. I haven't been to Fastly's San Francisco office since I started. I don't think I've been there since I started. So it's been like a year and a half. Just got off the phone with UPS and Amazon to see where my packages are. Nice. Best of luck, man. But you'll figure it out, right? Try to go 3 or 4 times a year. Yeah, totally. I don't mind work travel. I think that it tends to get a little mundane sometimes. So, func ready. Make ready. This will be a function which returns a callback and a channel. A channel of structs you can only receive on. I'm abstracting this out a little bit. Ooh, excuse me. They're saying they're lost, but I can't report until Tuesday in case they show up. That stinks. That's no fun. Are like all of your computer parts lost or just a couple? Just some. Shoot. Wow. My fingers are really clumsy today. It's kind of funny. You watch like Stauffenberg stream yesterday, and he's like so good at what he does with like Emacs and everything, and I'm just sitting here fumbling with VS Code and like my mouse. So I guess we could return the ready channel here. Just the CPU and motherboard. Oh, that stinks, man. Oh, hey, you're around. Thanks. Feel like I'm just fumbling with Emacs on my end, though. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, whenever anybody is, whenever you're doing like something like this live in front of people, like you realize like how many mistakes you actually make. Like, I think I tend to present pretty high quality work in my code reviews and such, but like when I'm just sitting here coding, it's like one of those things where I'm just, fumbling around the entire time. Does it still work? It does. Okay. I think we can make do with this for now. I kind of want to maybe abstract these away a little bit more. Maybe return the readiness channel. Will that work? But then we can't use the callback, but I guess that's probably okay because we don't need it. I know what you mean. Yo, hello everyone. Hey, welcome back. Good to see some folks here from yesterday. I appreciate that. Thank you all for hanging out. Steadily climbing up. The first, I think 15 minutes, it said I had 3 viewers, and I'm like, oh, it might be a slow day. That's okay. But now we're climbing our way up. That's pretty cool. One sec, I got a message. For a second to my Twitch followers. Node modules in space. Interesting. Mayday, undefined is not a function. Oh, so the SpaceX Crew Dragon touchscreen UI runs on Chromium plus JavaScript. Interesting. I bounce back and forth between Vim and VS Code as a daily driver. Yeah, totally. I mean, use what works for you, you know? I used to use Vim as well. I switched to VS Code, I think, when I got my Kinesis because I just couldn't do the key bindings anymore. Like, when I got my Kinesis, Vim just like no longer made sense to me. FE, front-end engineer for the win. Yeah, you know, I'm curious how, what do you call it? Is it called like Dino? Like Dino is supposed to be like the new runtime for JavaScript. Like, isn't it like the kind of like the reimagining of Node? I think that's a pretty cool thing. I'm curious to see how that goes because I actually learned Node.js for just a little bit before I started doing Go. Gotcha. Yeah, I'd be curious to check that out. I'm not really interested in writing JavaScript, but just to see like what they're doing in the ecosystem, like how the virtual machine works and everything, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, okay, so we can now... So I guess for the monitor, really, we can make the tests a lot more simple. So... Why does this need a list of interfaces? Oh, it doesn't, actually. This is just for... the const functions, I think. Yeah. The scaffolding we had to set up to make these things work, you know? Is this readiness notification even necessary anymore? I think it might be still. Because we need to force a go routine. We need to force this go routine to be scheduled and start running before we return control to the caller with all of this. Okay, we could probably add a few more metrics then. Actually, no, we can just, where's our coverage at the moment? Let's take a look. I wouldn't mind committing this. The watcher isn't covered, yeah. Yeah, should probably do that. Actually came here for the test part since my app is now in production, but I have no tests at all. Yeah, I'm pretty good at testing, so happy to help with that. Here's a question. So I tend to not like logging very much. I think it's only really useful to like log things like errors, but for code that's job is to listen for things exclusively and report on them, should this log every message it receives? Or should I have like a verbosity option? Should I have a verbose mode? Should I just do metrics? My preference is generally that errors go to logs and metrics and everything else just goes to metrics, but... can you explain what kind of test types are common in production-grade apps? I think that unit tests are kind of the fundamental part of your applications, but also you should create some kind of like, you know, integration-type tests where you spin up as much of your stack as you can, perhaps in a contained environment. But I think that unit tests, you really need good unit test coverage in order to be confident to make changes. I guess would be my thought on that. Sirhat E7, thank you so much for the follow. I think it depends on what your service does. Yeah, so in this case, the service's job, like this whole routine's job is to monitor for changes and like listen. So perhaps it should log. It's very hard to debug if you have no logs based on my experience, especially if some users start to complain. Yes, that is true. The thing is that I do have metrics output for most of these things as well. I prefer to log everything. Yeah, I'm worried about log spam. Like I've had a couple times where, especially when I was at DigitalOcean, I was writing services that ran on every hypervisor in the fleet. And if you log every request there, suddenly you have a lot of log traffic going in, you know. What the fog? Thank you so much for the follow. Oh, so on the testing topic, it's more challenging when you have external dependencies. Like if your app is one of many in a sea of microservices where you rely on other services, you have to stub and mock everything. Yes, very true. Yes, I did work at DigitalOcean for a long time. Actually, it was a lot of fun. I am now at Fastly, which is also very cool. I think probably I'll log for now, and maybe consider adding a verbose mode. Right. Let's see here. I think the log is only going to be really able to say the basics. So monitor received %q from %q. So we will ignore the control message. We're going to put that in the metrics, I'm sure. So the monitor will receive a message of type string from the host that sent it, string. Oh, I guess I can remove the string calls because the logger will do that for me, right? So received a blank from a blank. And then we can potentially pick apart the fields a little bit and show some information. But I think for now, we'll just do the very basics. So you received a router advertisement or router solicitation from whoever sent it. Right. For now. Message is an optional callback, which will fire when the monitor receives an NDP message. Okay. Monitor receive router solicitation from : 1. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So ship it. Let's create a couple of other messages as well. Let's see here. So we create the router solicitation that we just pass to the client with a source address option just to make things easy. Maybe this is where we can create like a fake router advertisement as well. Callbacks are lovely to use some today. I'm not usually a big fan, but I think in this particular case, it is better than like trying to coordinate extra channels. So it just depends. Everything in moderation, you know. I think I wouldn't mind cleaning this up a bit more. And what do I want here? I use them mainly to not have to pack things into vectors because I may not want a vector. I think in my mind, usually the simplest solution wins, if possible, but it just depends. What kind of stuff do you work out at DO then? I worked on the virtual, it's basically the SDN fabric, like the data plane portion. So basically, I wrote the code that controlled, that took a high-level description of our user configuration and converted it all into a list of open vSwitch flows and things like security policies, firewalls. I wrote the DHCP server. I rewrote the metadata service. Yeah, tons of just low-level networking stuff. I actually did a presentation at the Open vSwitch conference a few years ago where I talked about some of the stuff we open source for doing that. We made a package called Go Open vSwitch. It's on GitHub now. I am not sure how well maintained it is, unfortunately, since I left. But yeah, that exists. That's the thing you can use to control OVS from Go, which is pretty cool. Yes, it is out in the wild. One sec. Excuse me. There we go. This is the package I wrote. I also created a Prometheus exporter, which I cannot remember if it's open source or not. But yeah, it's got some rough corners. Basically, it is shelling out the OVS tools under the hood because speaking OpenFlow binary is hard. Oh, you know, some folks used to work at DL.Edge. Nice. Okay, yeah, I probably worked with several of them. I was there for like 4.5 years, so I probably had some overlap because we were basically the software component of their. Well, we were the software component of like the product team, but they were the infrastructure network team. But we still like coordinated a lot as far as like doing things like data path migrations and such. So we want to send a router solicitation. I think we probably want to remove that from here. I don't think I really want this field. It feels kind of hacky. So if we do, we'll create a few messages here we're going to send, and we're going to pick and choose which ones we want to send here. So RS. So let's see here, SLL. So now we send, failed to send NDP message. So I want to send things that are router solicitations, but in addition, we want to send things like router advertisements, because ideally you're going to be monitoring your upstream for advertisements. Would you even want to monitor solicitations upstream? I feel like that would be very strange if you were solicited upstream, but I guess perhaps you'd want to know about it at least, right? Like, if you're in monitoring mode, you're not going to advertise to them, but you want to know about it, so I guess it's probably okay. Let's craft a router advertisement. Okay. So options, first of all, is going to have the source link layer for sure. Have you ever worked on embedded devices professionally? I have not. I am very much not an embedded person. I think that world is super cool, but my C chops are pretty weak. I would love to play with things more like TinyGo more. TinyGo is very cool on microcontrollers, or Rust especially. I really like Rust for... I think that Rust is very promising for those sorts of applications. I guess the closest thing I've ever really messed with to an embedded device is a Raspberry Pi, and even then I haven't done that much. I do intend to check out Stauffenberg's Go Crazy. I think that's going to be a very cool project to mess with, but I have not done that yet. So, let's see here. So if I %2 equals 0, we will send a rs ndp message. Equals rs, else equals RA. Send a few alternating back and forth. Perfect. 2 advertisements, 3 solicitations. Excellent. Okay. That'll work. Right. Is that an else? Yes, that is an else. I know. I broke my own rule. Actually, you know what I could do instead? M equals M NDP message. No. What am I doing? Var ndp.message equals RA. No more else. I'm such a hater. Yeah, I don't believe in else. That's a good point. Good catch. I should have drawn an emote that was like an else with like a red X over it. When I get more emote slots, I'm sure I probably will. No else. No else allowed. It just cracks me up for some reason. It's just a very funny thing to me. So this is the very, very bare bones that we can expand this, which is great. So let's see here. To do layer, expand with other fields. So this is going to be test monitor metrics, because the monitor's job pretty much is going to be to produce logs and metrics. We can also test the logs. That's a possibility as well. We're not doing that yet, but we can. It's kind of funny, right? But like, if you have a system that's job is to be monitoring things, I think it's important to test your logs and metrics, and that's one of the reasons I think it's important to not have globals. Oh, out of curiosity, my Go experience is limited. What's the idea behind not using else? Is it specific to Go, or is it just a general rule for your code? I think that in general, it's often cleaner to express something without an else. But that being said, in Go, we often have the early returns pattern. So for example, I could do if error not equals nil, return error, else return nil. But this is actually considered bad style in Go, because you have this extra indentation, this extra block for no reason. So you could just remove this, and do this, and you have the same effect. So it's kind of I think it's kind of like a code clarity thing. And also another thing in Go is that the switch statement is so powerful that you often don't need else. So my personal rule is that else if should never be used. I don't like else if at all. I think a switch is almost always better, or better in every case I can think of. But when it comes to else, definitely for early returns, you don't want to use an else. In this particular case, frankly, it's fine to use an else. I'm just not because it's funny. But that being said, I think this would be a perfectly reasonable case. And for example, if this was, you know, some expensive setup, that would be one thing, right? Got to remove some else if from recent code. I don't think I have any else if in this code. Let's check. No else if. None. Literally none. See, okay, so I do have some else. Let's go check these out. I'm curious. Pog. Yeah, I'm picky. Okay, so look at this. Like, look at this formula here. Like, if min is equal to max, do this formula, else do this formula. I'm pretty sure this would be, you know, this is definitely the kind of thing where I think it's acceptable to use an else. God, gopher. But in general, you know, if one of these was like just like a static assignment, I wouldn't use an else. I'm not saying this is a rule you should apply to your own code. I don't think that you should use, I think that if you have an early return, you should not use else, but I'm not saying you should be as strict as I am. I tend to be more strict because I have kind of an internal like stylistic guide I use, and I hold myself to a higher standard than I do others. So. Right, we have, let's see here, this cleans itself up, perfect. So now we can look at the metrics here. Oh yeah, I was familiar with the term God Gamer. I did not know it came from Forsen streams. I'm not familiar with Forsen. Yeah, no problem. Happy to help. If y'all ever have any questions about stuff, I'm always happy to help. I try to make it clear when I think something is a best practice versus my personal opinion. I think that not using else is my personal opinion, right? I'm not gonna say that's a best practice. I do think in the early returns case, not using else is the best practice. But in general, I tend to take things further myself. Okay, continue sending messages to the monitor and waiting for it to acknowledge them via receiving on ready C. Now that we've sent our messages, verify the output of the monitor messages received time series. Because the metrics here will tell us exactly what we saw. You kind of provide some junior, senior talk in here. Really like the concept. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that it's good to try and apply, it's good to avoid dogma, right? It's good to not be dogmatic, and it's also good to try and break things down from a very high level and a very low level. So I try to make my stream as approachable as possible for as many audiences as possible. I accept that this code is, the stuff I'm working on is not your everyday Go project. This is not like a web server or like a web API. I try to do my best to break down the networking concepts as well. Let me know if I'm doing a bad job. I'm always happy to improve. But yeah, I think it's very important to try and explain things in an approachable way. It helps me get better. It helps me get better at conference talks. It's a win, you know. Early returns is so much better than wrapping stuff in else. When I heard about that, it was a true aha moment. Yes, I agree. I used to write PHP that looked like if foo, if bar, if baz, else. And like this is insanity, right? Like you'll get to the point where like, you know, your else statement for foo is 100 lines down the page. Like nothing good comes from doing this. Like this pattern is, yeah, the Hadoken block. That's exactly it. This is unacceptable in any language in my mind, you know. So the easier solution here is to do, you know, if foo, return. Or if foo and bar, you know, return, right? There's always a better way to write this block. Don't do this. Like this is, I'm not going to say this is a best practice. I'm going to say this is law. Do not do this. And before you deal with JS callback hell. Yeah. Well, so it's funny here because I had like this callback going on here, but I actually abstracted it away to make it a little cleaner. But I still have a bit of callback hell in some parts of this code. I am not proud of some of this stuff. Like this, the nested callbacks and stuff here, I'm not super proud of. I think it could use some work. We'll get to it. But not today. So now we have our time series. We can verify the metrics that were populated and the What does this do? Does this fails if it can't find anything? Yes, it does. Okay. So given this, we want to verify the time series were populated in a way that we would expect. So how do I test the metrics in the other case? Right, something like this. Okay. Let's steal it. We're going to create a map that we compare against. So got against want. So want is going to be a map of... Does this remove the help strings? I think it does. It does not. We might want to remove the help strings. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, want is a metric slight series, which is actually name help samples. So name mon received series is another map. Roughly something that looks like the following. So for router advertisements, we will see 2. And for solicitations, we'll see 3. And now we will diff this entire thing. Unexpected time series. I've mentioned this a few times, but if you were not using the Go CMP package, this is literally one of my favorite packages ever. It is insanely useful. So this is, if you ever use reflect deep equal in your tests, this is a better version of that. And it provides you with nice, like pretty printed diff output instead of like crazy reflect, printing out your own output. It is incredibly nice. So now I'm pretty sure the test will fail because we don't have the name copied. So one sec. Run. Right, okay. And again, what did I miss? Unknown field series. Samples. Yeah, so see, this test is actually failing because of the missing help string. So look at this output. So unexpected time series, metric slight series. So the name field matches, the samples map matches, but the help, you wanted the empty string, but you got this string instead. Isn't this amazing? This makes your life so much better. It's unbelievable. I think I might remove the help strings from the output just to tidy things up a bit. We don't actually care about testing the help string. So let's look at all the places where find metric is called, and do any of them care? We just compare the samples maps. I think we can just go ahead and remove the name. So remove the help string for easier diffing. Help, empty. There we go. And our tests pass, do they? Is this stuck? Uh-oh. What happened? That was weird. Okay, our tests pass. There we go. Perfect. So we are successfully testing our metrics output. That's something you don't see every day, but I think it's important, right? This looks so much better than my horrid error messages. Yeah, no, seriously, check out this package. So I have this snippet, diff t fatal f, which produces want got. So I do want foo got bar unexpected time series, and that's it. And that snippet saves me so much trouble. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I think we're probably in good shape to connect the initial monitor code. Let's take a quick look and see if there's anything we left behind. Verbose callback must fire after logging metrics to ensure they are consistent in tests. Yes. This is one of those things where oh, when you want your callback to fire as fast as possible, so move it up here, and then you'll break your tests. So I think it's good to note things like that, It's reinitializing. Reinitializing is not a word. Did I spell it wrong? I know I've got the American spelling. I know. It is a word. It's just not in C spell, apparently. Okay. Reinitializing to the user dictionary. Excellent. Let's see here. Let's change up the music a little bit. What should I put on? All right, that'll work for now. Okay, I think we're in good shape to commit this again. So, oh wow, what did we do? I think the Go mod stuff is because of the spew. Yeah, we can remove those. Star. Internal. Okay. I'm going to make the font slightly smaller for a sec just so I can review this. My apologies. At least my normal monitor size. There's still room for deduplication in the tests especially, but I feel pretty good about this overall. I do want to check the comments in the new code, make sure I didn't copy and paste anything carelessly, but I think in general this looks pretty good to me. Okay. Creates a monitor. Specified interface LL's nil, metrics are discarded. Yes. Okay. So you're reporting on incoming NDP traffic. Block until context is canceled and error occurs. Yes, true. This is not true. This is an old comment, so I can move that. Advertise. Monitor. Oh, excuse me. I didn't fix a lot of the comments. Advertise. Listen. Listens for incoming NDP messages until CTX is canceled. I know it's not necessary to write docs on unexported functions. I do it because I think it is the kind thing to do if you want people to work on your project with you. I'm not gonna demand that people do that, you know, but I do think they're necessary for exported functions for sure. If you want people to use your open source package, but you have like no docs, like, or even worse, no tests. Like I've had people send me stuff and like, oh yeah, use this library, and it's like, there are no tests. I'm not going to use that. Okay, internal CoreRAD, initial monitor component. Oh, nice. Started going down the path of writing a NetFlow forwarder in Go and never finished it. Should pick that back up. Yeah, totally. It's fun doing like network protocol type stuff in Go. This is where I had the most fun for sure. Oh, let's see here. Ooh, did something... One sec. Sorry about that. I want to check email really quick. When do you think tests should be written, before or after? So I think this is one area where Stoffenberg and I disagree. For me, I find that I can't write good tests until I've written some code. I have to figure out what I want the shape of my API to look like. And I think I have a pretty good intuition at this point for writing testable APIs, so it's not usually that big of a problem for me. Some folks, especially early on, find that writing the test is more useful so they can actually make testable interfaces and such. I don't find that I have that problem anymore. So for me, if I try to write tests first, I often end up writing a test that's completely useless. So I personally like to write code first and then tests, but I understand this is a very personal thing. And I won't say there's a right or wrong way, you know. I think I got hung up on being able to spoof source headers. As far as like the in the operating system, so for example, like the Ethernet packets and such, or I guess I'm not sure what NetFlow looks like, but there are ways to like spoof traffic on Linux. But I need to fake my TDD to pass my course. Yes, that is, yeah. I know it's taught that way in schools. Yeah. I write code, but I commit and push the test first. I see. That makes sense. I mean, I usually write test second. However, when fixing bugs, I tend to write the test first so I can see it turn green. Yes. Writing the test first when you have a bug is a good idea. I would agree with that. I think that when I'm writing new code, though, I have to write the code first for me. Oh, you have to do it L4 since it's the OS handling it. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely ways to do that in Go. I have a packet sockets package. If you want to drop all the way down to Ethernet frames, you can do that. Since you said you started with PHP, how did you transition into networking stuff? Actually, writing Go. Excuse me. So I did PHP for a couple of years, and I had a friend who's like, check out Go, try it. And I kind of resisted for a long time for some reason. And eventually what happened is he's like, okay, here's the link, just learn Go. And I'm like, okay, so fine, I did it. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I realized you could like write a web server in like 3 lines. And I was like, that is awesome. Like we were doing a project in C# that was like an HTTP API. And it was just so much like boilerplate and everything. And like Go just took a lot of that away. So I started playing with it. We wrote a BitTorrent tracker in Go that is still on my GitHub. It is probably the most embarrassing Go I've ever written, but it's there. It's archived. And then I started working on networking stuff. I started doing BSD sockets in C in school, and I wrote like a peer-to-peer file sharing thing, as well as a kind of like an IRC-alike chat server. And when I realized like how easy sockets were in Go, I started having a lot of fun with it. And then I started diving lower in the stack. So I was doing like, okay, web interfaces. And I was like, okay, let's learn about Ethernet frames. Let's learn about ARP. Let's learn about DHCP. And I started just kind of like diving down the stack and like learning how these protocols were all built up. And then I got into V6 and I realized like how elegant things like neighbor discovery are. And that's why I started, my NDP package and finally this project is because I wanted to create the best possible neighbor discovery daemon for my network. So for me, I started with the backend web type stuff, and I found that I really enjoyed playing with sockets, so I just kind of started diving down the stack. But this all took place over the course of like, let's see. I learned Go in late 2013. I started really doing networking stuff in 2014. So I've been doing networking stuff for like 6 years now. It's kind of my focus. I still do not claim to be an expert. There's still plenty of things I don't know, but I think I have a pretty good understanding. C# is way too much like Java. I think that, at least from what I saw, C# took a lot of the pain out of Java. But that being said, it's been a long time since I've done it. I have no idea how things have changed. Let's see. Sorry, one sec. All right, that'll work. Oh yeah, no problem. So I think the thing is that like you have to just ultimately try different things before you find out what you really like doing, right? So for me, it's networking. Oh, Inver Wasabi, thank you so much for the follow. For me, it is networking. For you, it could be storage, it could be compute, it could be embedded systems, it could be front end, back end, full stack engineer, anything in between. Ultimately, you choose. You have the option, the ability to decide what you really want to do. I personally would not be satisfied writing CRUD apps. That's just not me. I really enjoy playing around with things at the networking level, like understanding how things flow through a network, building these network protocol packages and such. If I was doing like user facing, like point and click CRUD apps, like I'd be bored. Okay, so C# is evolving into something better, unlike Java. They got lots of really useful things from other languages. Nice. Yeah, C# was pretty cool. I have not used it in, I think it's been like 8 years. So I started using Linux full time in 2013. I have not had a Windows development machine since like mid 2013. So I haven't done any C# or any Microsoft stuff in a very long time. I would be curious to see how things have evolved. It was a nice language when I used it. I remember enjoying it in general. It was just different. Actually, okay, let's go show you something really quick. So my first open source project, working with a few other people, Einstein X2, Wavebox is still up. It is, yeah. So Wavebox was my first open source project. Let's see here. Some code I wrote. API handlers, yeah. API handler factory. Fun, right? all this crazy stuff. Yeah, I wrote this reflection code that looks up all your types in the assembly that contain this API handler, and it automatically adds like these plugins. What else? The now playing API. Yeah, I wrote this. HTTP processor. And you can see I used to write comments for everything. Get now playing service instance. Dependency injection container. Don't do this. Never use DI containers. You don't want them. Store list of now playing objects. Yeah, no kidding, Matt. Filter by username. Okay. Write JSON, now playing response. Like, yeah. And what's funny is this is just like so verbose, and these dot comments with the XML tags, like, I just don't like it, you know? I really need those comments. I'm glad I write Go now. When OOP was considered the ultimate paradigm. Yes, very true. Very, very true. All right, well, we need, let's see here. So my goal for today is to try to get to 25 subscribers so we can get more emote slots. We are currently at 21. So folks who are chatting in the chat and participating and having a good time, I will throw you some emotes. So welcome, Knight of Dolanroth. Enjoy the gift sub. Enjoy your error emote. With any luck, we will have all three of the emotes as tier 1s for the next stream. So no problem at all. Hey, Jules Dev, good to see you. We need everybody with emotes, so that way we can hit somebody up with a raid later and spam the error emote. I'm really hoping somebody's streaming programming. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but we'll see. I put out a couple of feelers, but I would have subbed anyway. Yeah, no problem. I mean, the thing is like, I think one of the cool things about Twitch is like, you know, gift sub culture, right? Like if people participate and are like, you know, participating and like having a good time and stuff and creating good conversation, then why not? You know, why not encourage that? Error occurred. Yes, that's exactly it. I still to this day am probably guilty of over commenting some. Like there are probably some people who are looking at this and thinking like, oh, why does he do that? But, you know, I think it's better to comment a little more than a little too less. Yeah, Twitch culture is pretty cool. Raise instead of autoplay, gift subs and stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, and I've received a lot of gift subs in my time, so I'm happy to pay it forward. All right, time for a quick bathroom break. We're going to do the standing desk thing too. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right, we're back. So today's soundtrack is... I found this a long time ago, but the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds Orchestral soundtrack. There's like an entire YouTube thing that's like 4.5 hours long. It's pretty sick, actually. So I'm listening to this at the moment, but let's see here. How is Go? Just started using it not too long ago. I barely scratched the surface. I love Go. Go is my preferred language. It is the language I have used primarily and I've been paid to use for the past 6.5 years. I've been using Go, I think, for almost 7 years now. I've been doing it professionally for about 6.5-ish. Yeah, it's an excellent language. I think Go is absolutely perfect for 99% of the problems that I would like to solve. The only things that I would not do in Go are kernel modules. Can't do it. Embedded systems probably, but even then, like things like TinyGo are very cool. I have not tried it. I cannot vouch for TinyGo. I hear great things. I would like to try it. And perhaps very, very high throughput, like data plane type applications. Like if I was writing a virtual Ethernet switch that I wanted to push 100 gigabits a second of traffic with or something, then I would think about writing Rust or something instead. But I think that for like network services, HTTP APIs, any kind of like networking thing, Go is awesome for those. So I'm a huge fan. Oh, great. I prefer English as my language. What's up, Jerry? Love it, love it. Use C# at work and some small PHP bug fixing and Go is fresh air. Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Why not kernel modules? I don't think Go can be used. I don't think it would work for a kernel module. Like you could build like user space drivers with it, right? But it could never run inside like the Linux kernel. Something like Rust could. Like you could actually create Rust bindings, I believe, to like the C module interface. And I think that there are some possibly being drivers being written in Rust, or it's being, you know, certainly considered at least. I don't think that the GC and everything is compatible with like, you know, low level operating system primitives. Like you would have a hard time writing an operating system in Go, is my understanding. But for applications, it's perfect. And I do plenty of like system call type stuff, like weird, crazy, unsafe pointer as well. Hey, Professor Elements, Prof. Elements, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. With the amount of bugs caused by memory mess-ups, it's hard to argue that Rust shouldn't be used more. Yes, I agree. The thing is that I'm not a professional C programmer. I don't have years and years of experience. I know there are some folks who feel very strongly on both sides. I don't think I have enough experience to really say, but I think Rust is extraordinarily promising. I really enjoyed working with it. I've done one big project with it, and I would like to do more. So perhaps we will do some Rust streams as well. I'm not very good, so you're going to be learning along with me. But I like doing Go here because I'm definitely pretty qualified to work in Go. Yeah, okay. Where are we at? Nope. Got some... Run failed. My CI build's failing. I guess let's go check. Wavebox, man. Rust is LLVM based, right? Yes, it is. Rust is the compiler backend is all LLVM. So it can run anywhere the LLVM can, is my understanding, which is very cool. Go, as most, perhaps some of you know, is a custom backend. So Go is being ported to different architectures. Like, it takes more work, but it's being done. So the integration test failed. Why? Expected timeout error, but got... this looks like a flap. That's unfortunate. Maybe something I'll have to work on later. I got a message I need to check. One moment. It's kind of funny. I feel like, all weekend I'm just getting like ridiculous messages about stuff. I can ignore a lot of these. But to commit. I have acquired tea and a bunch on the table too. Nice. Yeah, I spilled coffee all over my desk the other day. Like I just prepared a cup of coffee and I set it down like on the edge of the coaster and it spilled everywhere and it's like, come on. So this picks up multicast unicast packets and sends metrics summary about how do you deploy this? Is it being deployed on a physical box? You deploy this to a VM or maybe even Kubernetes. So you could deploy this probably, I don't know. This is definitely infrastructure software. So I'm running this on my router. My router is NixOS. I am running it without a container or similar. I feel like if you ran this in a container, you would have to put it in some kind of privileged namespace because it uses IPv6 sockets. So CoreRAD's job is to, do I have a diagram for this? Actually, I might be able to pull up something that can show what this does. So one sec, mdlayer talks. I should have network protocol, IPv6. I think these slides, yeah, one sec. So this is a presentation I gave on like IPv6, like explaining a lot of the concepts and stuff for folks who are interested. This was based on my Ubiquiti Edge router, which I no longer use, but the concepts still apply. So the basic flow for how CoreRAD works is you want to get IPv6 on your home LAN. So your router, this home router here is talking to your ISP router, is going to send a DHCPv6 request, assuming it needs to get an address for itself, but it will also say, hey, I am interested if you will delegate me a prefix, I would like to be able to assign addresses from that prefix. So the ISP router will reply, it will send back a DHCPv6 reply giving you an address you can call A. In addition, it will also delegate a prefix to you if that's available. So in my case, I get a prefix we call P/56. So it says that in addition to the IP address, I'm also giving you this prefix. And then whenever traffic is bound for that prefix, it will be routed to my home router. From there, my router, the ISP is able to say, okay, so the internet sends traffic to B, and B is some address that resides within P/56. The ISP says it matches, we route traffic B to home. So the way that traffic gets distributed is now you have the home router, it's got a prefix, this /56 delegated to it. So anything in that 56 is coming from the internet to your ISP to your home network. The way that this works, the way that what CoreRAD is doing, the function it is serving is distributing the default route and also doing stateless address auto configuration. So we are taking that /56 and dividing it into smaller chunks, /64s. So we have a prefix here called LAN. This is a /64 within the /56. You could also have prefixes for things like a guest network or an IoT network or a 10 gigabit network. I think I'm running like 6 different VLANs. devices on your network will send an NDP router solicitation saying like, hey, I am looking for IPv6 routers. So in this case, software such as CoreRAD or RA will see this. They will see that router solicitation and say, okay, I will send an NDP router advertisement that speaks and says that I am an IPv6 router. You can use me for your default route. You can use this prefix, this /64, with stateless address auto configuration, assign yourself an address, and consider it valid for the next 24 hours. As a result, all the PCs in your LAN now have their own globally reachable IPv6 addresses. So this is the function that CoreRAD serves. Its job is taking that information from your ISP and distributing it out and pushing it to all of your clients so they can get out to the IPv6 internet and possibly assign addresses to themselves. So that's why I think v6 is so cool. This is, I think, probably my favorite feature of v6. Taryn says, you're working with the host interfaces, so you need to be on the host network namespace. Yes, I believe that would be true as well. So you could deploy this probably in a container if you wanted to. I think it would be difficult. Possibly. I'm not sure. I don't deploy many things in containers. How many people are running v6 now with no ACLs or filtering in place? That's a good question. I would hope that most routers default to everything shut, but I don't know. Not that I'd argue NAT is a security mechanism, but in the consumer home use case, it was kind of doing the job by obscurity. Yes, that is true. And there are lots of folks who still think that v6 is wrong because they missed the security blanket that is NAT. The reality is that NAT was never the solution, right? NAT was just an additional layer of indirection, but ultimately you still need a firewall. So I think that most consumer routers these days are shipping with dual stack on by default, I believe. At least for some ISPs like Comcast and such, which is pretty cool. So, Inver Wasabi, I hope that answered your question a little better. I know it's a lot to take in. v6 is a big topic, but perhaps this slide deck will be useful. I'm actually super happy to answer questions about stuff like this whenever. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for asking a good question. I appreciate that. We are trying to get a few more subscribers today, so I will go ahead and hook you up with some MD layer emotes. Enjoy. Just need a couple more subs so we can get more emote slots, so I'll keep doing this. Welcome to the sub club. Knowing v6 is an easy way to get a job as a network engineer at any data center. At least it worked for me. Nice. Yeah, I think the thing is that most, at least if they're not deployed yet, most businesses are probably starting to make a plan for v6 at least, especially like infrastructure businesses. It's kind of a necessity. It always kind of bothered me when I was at DigitalOcean that our v6 was a second-class citizen. Like, features were launched without v6 support, and I think that's a shame. In 2020, you shouldn't be launching a feature without IPv6. You know. The issue is not a lot of companies hire network engineers anymore. Yeah, that is true. And unfortunate. Whoa, that rhymes. Yep. And there are big cloud providers without v6. Yes, true. What do you want the emote for the next slot to be? So at the moment we have the error, we have the tux, and there's also a gopher I drew. So right now the tux is the tier 3, the gopher was tier 2. I tried to move it down to tier 1, but the problem is that it takes Twitch a few days to allow that, which is really annoying. So tier 1s will have the gopher emote. Yeah, I think an else emote might be pretty funny. If we're going to continue hand drawing things, like an else with like a red X through it. I think that's probably the correct option. Hey, Dot Waffle, what's up? Good seeing you. Yeah, so I hope this slide deck is useful. I have lots of information about things like v6 on my blog and my talks page, so check that out. I actually did an entire article about NDP as well, so check those out if you are interested. I am always happy to answer questions about these things because I know that most people just are not as familiar with v6, you know? Where the heck were we? As of Friday, I'm now voluntarily unemployed. Congrats. Watch this space for what's next. Nice. That's why I get so salty about vendor certifications too. Because of things like, I guess I missed the context there, v6, or was it something I said? Because my mind's just like kind of continuing to churn here. Oh boy. It's not relevant to the job market anymore? Yeah. Oh, you mean like certificates? Yeah, being relevant to the job market. Yeah, People have asked me before if they think that I should get like. People have asked me like, oh, if I want to do computer programming, should I get a certificate? And I'm like, no. Like, I mean, if you could demonstrate your knowledge, like maybe for help desk or like systems administration or network engineering, I don't know. I don't work in those fields. It might be useful, but my Cisco certs are long dead. Nice. Congrats. I think that if you are a motivated person, you are willing to learn, you can do just fine with programming, even without like a college degree. I have a college degree. I learned the majority of what I do on my own. I think the college helped give me the foundation, perhaps, but I had to do a lot of work on my own to get where I am. You know, this isn't specific to networking. People, for some reason, just love certifications, and recruiters still filter on it. Yeah, that stinks. VMware, Red Hat, Cisco, whatever. Yeah, for sure. In-house web-based IDE. Interesting. I know that somebody just released a VS Code that runs in the browser, I think. Yeah, I know there is a V6 certification by Hurricane Electric. I've been meaning to do that, actually, because I guess there is like a t-shirt involved. I'm curious how much I know. But don't you have to like configure like a mail server? Because I don't want to do that. Like, I don't think you should configure a mail server to know how to use V6. Yes, it was a monopoly for Cisco for too long, and they marketed those examinations so well. Yes, that's very true. Yes, you have to configure an IPv6 mail server. I don't want to do that. They were at it again with the DevNet certs. It's so stupid. Yeah, that stinks. No fun at all. I hear Netcat works well for being a mail server. Yeah, I guess it probably would, wouldn't it? What in the world was I doing? You've all got me so distracted. And a name server. Oh, I don't want to configure bind. I think what I want to do now is write some more tests for this. Build this out a little bit more. And maybe we'll get a release in today. I suspect probably not, but we'll see. Code interviews are odd to me. Yeah, code interviews are a thing. I've never had like the Google like crazy grill you algorithms interview, but I have done I've done a couple of like interviews like whiteboarding, like, okay, given this sort of problem, how would you tackle this? Like write Go code. It's been okay, but it's definitely stressful. Certs where you live are a small fortune in the examinations. That's unfortunate, yeah. You did the CCNA and JNCIS back in about 2008 and 9. Never did another. Never held me back. Yeah, that's great. So my Digitalocean interview was very strange. I ended up, first of all, I joined the company very, very early, and it ended up being that my flight got delayed by like 6 hours, so I didn't get into New York until like 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. So they had a guy come into the office on Saturday to like do like a code pairing thing with me. That was an experience, but that had like live coding. My Fastly interview did have a whiteboard aspect, yes. You do leak code? I do not do leak code. But yeah, I don't think I would pass a FANG interview. That's okay. Doing a lot of code interviews lately, but somehow trying to keep them super relevant. I actually asked them to solve something that came up on the job. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, you know? There's something I would do, like I would ask folks to talk through like how they would design like an IPAM application, like how to, deal with IP addresses, look for conflicts, etc. Like a web API. And there were lots of folks who couldn't even write kind of basic stuff, that was unfortunate. Jeremy, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had to build like another internal thing that was going to integrate with Netbox. I'm not sure where that project went, but yeah, I miss working with Jeremy. He's incredibly smart. I learned a lot about networking from him for sure. And yes, I do agree that it's sad that everybody follows the Google style interview. I don't think those interviews really work. I think it's a damn shame. I want to add more metrics. So what comes in a router advertisement we might want to inspect? IPAM thing still isn't used. I'm not sure. I don't work on that. I do know we don't have Netbox deployed though, which is sad, because I think Netbox is an awesome tool. I want to add more metrics. Perl, oh my god, my PTSD. Yeah, there was some Perl at DigitalOcean as well for a long time. I don't know where it's still at, but I had to work on Perl for a while, which was rough. Hundreds of kilobytes of Perl in one file. Yeah, no thanks. What can we do? I want to pick this apart a little bit. I want to pick this apart and add more metrics. So what comes in a router advertisement that I care about? So I guess let's look at my ISP's router and see what they're giving us. So NDPRS. Right, so my ISP is weird and they send really silly V6 advertisements. Watch this. So like it just sends like 3 of them in a row, like over and over again. I have no idea what they're doing, but so the flags that are managed and other. Managed implies you have to use DHCP v6. Other implies there is more configuration available from DHCP v6. The router's lifetime is 2 hours and 30 minutes. The reachable time, 1 hour. Okay. And then prefix information, which you cannot use for anything. It's not on link. It is not autonomous. Fun. I'm trying to think of what would be useful to export from this. The Unity 3D Asset Store website used to be a monolithic Perl script. I'm not surprised. I think there are lots of horrifying things that are monolithic Perl scripts, you know? What kind of information can I extract for this? I think I want to figure out the default route information. So the default route comes from the router lifetime, I believe. I think. Let's consult the RFC. Oops. RFC 4861. Got that memorized. I've only looked this up a handful of times. Router lifetime. Yes. The lifetime associated with the default router in units of seconds. A lifetime of 0 indicates that this router is not a default router and should not appear on the default routers list. Only applies to the router's usefulness as a default router. Does not apply to information contained in other message fields or options. Yep. Okay, this retransmit timer is not useful. So I do want to track the router lifetime because that will tell me when my default route will fall off. So that is something I want to monitor. Oops. There we go. Keyboard shortcuts, you know. So monitor... router advertisement, router lifetime. Router advertisement. Fastly seems like it'd be a super cool place to work. Oh yeah, it is pretty cool. I think there's a lot of challenges that come along with running, you know, a very large network. I seem to keep finding myself at these like infrastructure type companies, and I think that's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. I'm enjoying it. Monitor router advertisement, router lifetime, I guess. And if we expose the router lifetime directly, then we can compute using that how long it would be until the default route falls off. Do we want to do a computation here ourselves, or do we want to export it directly, right? So thinking about this, how would this work? So I want to figure out when my default route is going to go away. So the router lifetime, should this be a counter that I keep internally? So like I will set a, like I can set a gauge and then reset the gauge every time I receive a router advertisement from a default router. So I'm not sure if I want to do this computation or expose this directly and use it with PromQL. I honestly don't know what's going to be easier or what's going to be a better option. I think for now, let's do this. Are there any PromQL people out there? So let's see here. So if the router goes away, I want to know how many seconds I have until my router advertisement expires. My default route expires. I think probably I want to calculate this myself for now. So monitor, let's see here. So default route time seconds. Time remaining seconds, something like that. Just check the expiration date. Yeah, I wish. So this is going to indicate how long it will be until your default route goes away, based on the router advertisements it sees upstream. Time remaining seconds. Default route remaining time remaining seconds. Something like this, yeah, I think. So let's go with this for now. So this is going to be another one of those things we want to factor out as well. So mon default route, probably. Default route. If Stoffelberg is around, I'd be curious to hear what he thinks about this, because I know he does Prometheus stuff as well. So I am trying to figure out the proper way to calculate this, and I think I could calculate it in the application and just reset my timer every time it ticks back. CoreRAD monitor default route time remaining seconds. So this will monitor how long your default route will last before it falls off. So assuming your upstream ISP stops sending you router advertisements, this will eventually tick down, and I can alert when this is below like 600 seconds or something. So that way I have 10 minutes before my default route goes away. That seems like it could be a useful property to have. So let's go with that for now. Default route time remaining seconds is a gauge because it goes downward and upward. I think this might be something we could calculate with PromQL, but I don't know an easy way to do that at the moment, and I'm not sure how that would account for the router going away. So I want to verify that like this, probably. This is now a gauge. Yep. Time remaining in seconds before the default route. A default router's route before the route provided by a default router expires. Yes, the time remaining in seconds before the route provided by a default router expires. So this would be reset every time we receive a router advertisement with a new time. Interface router. So the interface is on and the router's IP address. Storing the expiration timestamp sounds like a good choice to me, yeah. Oh, the timestamp. Oh, I see what you mean. So you think that I should calculate, so if it's like 2500 or something like that, if it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, take the current time, add that, and then store that time instead of like a counter or a gauge. I see. I think that probably makes more sense, actually. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Thank you. This is why I'm glad you're still around. So this would be monitor default route expiration time. That makes a lot of sense. Default route expiration time. And this is going to be a Unix timestamp value. Perfect. Default route expiration time. Just check the expiration date. Oh shoot, I think, Trollwoods, I think I totally misinterpreted your comment if that's what you meant. I thought you were talking about I thought you were making a joke about like a carton of milk having an expiration date or something. You were not making a joke. Oh, it was a joke. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Real-time code review. Yeah, that's the best. I'm not that smart. That's okay. I mean, we're all learning here, right? Like this is the value of doing this sort of thing. The Unix timestamp of when the route provided by a default router will expire. So we can have an alert here that indicates that if you have 0 routers, if all of your default routes advertisements will expire by this time, do an alert. While you're joking, it is actually a good idea. You have any jokes left? Yeah, please give out some more jokes. If you didn't already have a gift sub, I would have given you one. Let's see here. Metrics. Yeah, the timestamp makes way more sense. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. We need to look at the monitor code. It just come out spontaneously. I can't control it. That's okay. And in my package, I don't have the current timestamp helper because I consider that to be pretty niche. So we can just do time now Unix, no problem. So, let's see here. RA metrics maybe. Switch M type. Switch message type. So at first I thought you were joking, and then I thought you were serious, and I just totally ignored your comment, but it turns out you were actually joking. It's pretty funny. IPv6 router. Oops. NDP router. I think this is one of the situations where we're going to want to have the verbose mode probably, because we could like log when the default route will expire too. But we're not going to do that for now. Message. No, RA. NDP router advertisement. If RA dot... Is it reachable time? It is reachable time, I think. That was what the field we just looked at. Router lifetime. Do I call it reachable time? Oh, it's a different field. Router lifetime. Okay. If RA router lifetime is not equal to 0, or if it equals 0 for now, we'll return because we have no other metrics here. Return. Not a default router. Do nothing. This is an advertisement from a default router. Extract relevant information. This is the advertisement for default router. It's probably fine. MMM. Monitor default router expiration time set to... we need the IP address of who sent it to, so host. I guess we'll call it router in this case, so netadder IP. Set to time now. Oh no, we need to add it, so the expect expiration time, time now, dot add. RA router lifetime. And we do the expiration time. I don't really like creating temporary variables unless I have to, so I'm probably just going to inline this and do multiple lines. I know that's a silly thing, but it's just my personal preference, you know. And then the labels would be the interface and the router. Okay, so the interface that it came in on is iFace, and then the router is router string. Beautiful. Float 64. Indicate the Unix timestamp of when the default route will expire. Calculate the Unix timestamp when the default route will expire. So this timestamp will keep being pushed forward, forward, and forward, and forward. And then when we calculate a delta between the current time and that time being shorter than a certain period, we can alert on it. So that's beautiful. That's a good idea. Because I've had a couple times where my IPv6 has fallen off, and it seems like a good place to monitor it. So RA metrics. So This is metrics for a produces metrics for a given router advertisement. Okay. To do expands type switch, of course. Test monitor metrics. Uh-oh. Already registered. I think I copied the name of the time series, didn't I? Yep, I did. Default route. Perfect. So my metrics library will also panic if you do the wrong thing, because I think it's really silly to return errors when something is obviously wrong, you know? My review of this code, 0 out of 10. Too many router advertisements. I already have a router. Yeah, right. I guess some other viewers give it a 0 out of 10 too. We've lost some viewers. I'm kidding. I know this is I kind of wonder if people come in here, they're like, oh, cool, Go programming. And then it's like this crazy IPv6 weird stuff. They have no, you know, no idea, but I tried my best to explain. I guess my thing is like when I do conference talks or blogs or streams, this is the kind of content that I would want to see, right? So I consider myself an intermediate to advanced Go programmer, probably leaning toward the advanced side, and I think it's a lot more fun to do advanced topics, you know, so. Cool. Tests pass, so that's because they're not doing anything. 5 out of 7 for the jokes. Let's get that tmux split going again, so that way the watcher output stays up for you all. Okay. Test pass, that's good, but that's not what we want. We want... received. 1 out of 10 because no one else. Find metric T on default route. So this is going to be something along the lines of the interface and the router. Router equals : 1. Oh gosh, this is calculating the current time. So writing a test for this is going to be a pain in the neck. We are going to fake the current time. No way, I'm not dealing with that. Let's see here. I was overriding the current time. It's a function that produces a time. Yep. Okay. m.now.add. Perfect. Okay. Now is time now. By default, use real time. At least people who play mobile games have experience faking the current time. Yeah, time is one of those things where, like, if you're relying on like time advancing in your tests, you're usually gonna have a pretty bad time. It's very tricky. So it's almost always better to like stub out a function like this or something. I think we're going to stub out to like a fixed time here. Relying on time in general, yes. Any kind of like time reliance will often bite you. Fixed now. Fixed now will accept an input time and return that time always, I think. That seems like a pretty reasonable idea, right? So T, I guess I could return the same time for every test too, though. I don't see a reason why I would need to change this. Because we're not writing the alerting here, we're writing just the metrics exposition, because the alerting is a totally separate component, so time. Return time Unix 10. Perfect. Ah, why is my copy paste not working? There we go. That was very strange. We got a syntax error somewhere. Things are, oh, yeah, we do. Okay. 84. Oh, this isn't done yet. Yep. Is that epoch second 1? Yes. I just picked a random time. It really doesn't matter. The thing is, we just need to do a little bit of math on it and verify like a fixed value. So epoch second 1 seems like a reasonable idea. Yes, it is epoch second 1, but okay, is it epoch or is it epic? I honestly have no idea. We just invented time travel. I've always said epoch, but perhaps that's not the right way. Maybe it is just epic, you know, like the other word epic, but I frankly have no idea. It's one of those things where you find that everybody in the industry has like a slightly different way of saying it, because you always read it online, but nah, it's epoch. Okay, cool. Do you use Vim mode in VS Code? I do not. I was a former Vim user, but when I got my Kinesis, I became pretty much unable to use Vim anymore. I just couldn't get the key bindings through my head. So I do not use Vim mode. Nope. I'm pointing and clicking and doing things. I'm doing an occasional keyboard shortcut here and there, but I do lots of point and click. But frankly, I find that as I've become more senior, I spend less time typing. Like, I'm not worried about the speed of my editor. I spend a lot more time thinking about stuff. Like, so I don't find that my editor really slows me down. You know, I know that's a pretty heretical statement for some folks, but fix now. Let's use a fixed time. Use mouse. Just use mouse. Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad I have the standing desk for streaming, because like I find that for some reason just sitting here is just exhausting. You know, I really need to get up and stand. I'm not as good about it during the day, like the work day, but 10x engineer never use a mouse. Yeah. I mean, I know that there are setups and stuff where like people have like tiling window managers that are very cool. I tried Xmonad once upon a time, and of course, Stopover here is the author of i3. I have been meaning to give i3 a serious shot for years. I should. I don't think I would use it on stream for a long time. I'd want to get comfortable first, but I should give it a try and just see what happens. So this default route metric should be populated if we pass something that is considered a default router. So, pretend to be a default router. Just waiting here for voice integrated IDE experience. Yeah, me too, totally. You know what's fascinating is I actually have a coworker. One sec. What's her website? Right here. I have a coworker, Emily. Her experience is pretty unbelievable. So I have kind of like a mild like RSI and stuff in my hands and my elbow. Emily has, I think, perhaps much worse than mine. And she actually has been doing voice-driven development now for several years, and she has some very, very cool setups. Check out this Strange Loop talk. Yeah, check this out. Just go ahead and watch this talk. This was fascinating for me. It's something I would love to try, but I have not yet. There are pro conferences in the year 2019. Yeah, there are. It's gonna be a sad day for me. Like, it seems like an inevitability, right? That eventually Go will become not fashionable or something like that. I'm gonna miss Go. You know, I really like it. I'd be very curious to see what ends up supplanting Go someday. Next step is constructing a program language that makes it easy to code voice. Yeah, totally. There could be a lot done to make that easier, you know. Don't see it going anytime soon. Yeah, totally. People said COBOL is dead, but 30 seconds, sure. Until you get throat problems, that is. Yeah. It's kind of funny because like doing the switch thing, I find that my voice does get tired. Like I can tell already I'm getting some fatigue. I also tend to talk louder than necessary at all times, so. COBOL dev salaries. Yeah, I mean, if you want to make a ton of money. Did you see if PHP were British? I have not. Is that actually true? I remember looking into it thinking no wonder they can't get COBOL devs. The salaries thing I think is apparently true. Like I know that like the what was it, New Jersey or something was looking for people for their insurance system or their I don't remember what it was, but I think it's actually true that they'll pay you a ton of money. Definitely worth a quick look. Okay. I should exercise my wrist more actually before I get wrist problems. Yes, you should. Take breaks. Whew. Excuse me. Take breaks, stretch. These things make a big difference. Use good ergonomic posture. If you are hunched over your keyboard or your hands are too close together or something, it will come to hurt you for sure. I use ergonomic keyboard and mouse. I do my best to keep my arms at 90 degrees next to my side. It makes a big difference. Like you really do want to take it seriously. NRT, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Dash V. Lifting weights regularly fix my RSI. Yeah, it definitely helps me too. I miss the gym so much. I play drums too, so I was doubling down repetitive motions. Yeah, totally. I play bass guitar, but bass kind of tears up my hands, so it's unfortunate. But lifting weights is awesome. I really, really, really miss the gym. That helped me a ton too. And I'm a little worried that I'm gonna, if I keep streaming and coding every day, I might kind of get back to it, but I'm being pretty cautious too. So we'll see. Yeah, man, I miss the gym so much. Awesome. So that looks like the time series we want. It says the default route will expire at Unix time 31, which is 1 plus 30, which is exactly what we want. So I guess I could do Unix time 00. That would probably be the easier way. Yeah, there we go. So epoch time 0. So we're back in January 1st, 1970. Router equals 1. The value is going to be 30. So it's going to be router lifetime dot seconds. Let's close this. I miss exercising so much. Yeah, me too. We've been going for walks and stuff, but I don't have like weights here at home and it stinks. Like I miss the gym. I just want to go like, get on a bench press or do like anything, I would even go do leg day right now. Like I actually like leg day, although a friend would make me do squats. Squats, no, lunges. Oh my God. After like a leg day, so you've done your like leg press and everything, like calf raises, all that stuff, like, and you do like lunges and like my legs are just like falling apart. My knees are just like shaking like crazy. It's insane. I am fresh out of water. Drink water, by the way. It's good for you. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. You got a health problem a month ago, so I'm not even allowed to exercise. It stinks. Yeah, there was one point where I had mono in college, and that really sucked. It just like it kicked my ass for like an entire week and a half or something like that, and then I wasn't allowed to exercise for at least a couple of months, and that really stunk. Then drink 200 right after. 200 does sound pretty good right now. I've got a bunch of stouts in my fridge, so Transient just did a release. Transient is a brewery here in Michigan that does excellent stouts, IPAs, sours, everything really. So I've got some Transient beers. I've also got Wax Wings, which is the hype new Kalamazoo brewery, so I definitely sense some beer in my future. Posture exercises are what I only do right now. They are must for the industry, I think. I agree. It's so funny. It matters a lot more than you think it will, and you won't know it's too late until it's too late. So you need to take care of yourself. I've been dealing with this in some form or another since 2014, and I think I've got it a lot more under control the past like year or so. But I sleep with a brace at night on this elbow to keep this more straight. I've got my ergonomic keyboard, try and do the, good posture, 90-degree angles and stuff like that. It makes a big difference. So if you're here and you're not sure if you should commit to the ergonomic stuff, you really should. Hard to get your hands on Transient around here. Yeah, I bet. I'm a member, thankfully, so I get early access to all of their stuff. I love their beer. I'm a Waxwings member too, so just noticed the Thanos shirt. Yeah, kind of out of frame, isn't it? But yeah, this is Thanos. This is the long-term storage for Prometheus. I don't actually use Thanos. I'm advertising. I work on Prometheus, but I don't work on Thanos. I hope that doesn't scare you away. It's kind of funny. I thought about setting up Thanos for home so I could do like long-term block compression and storage in like AW or S3 or something like that. So I could have like my my Prometheus metrics like after a year, put them on S3, something like that. But I have not done that yet. Right. Let's diff these. Once default. That's default. Okay, you're currently struggling with Prometheus HA setup. You could run multiple collectors with the same targets, but end up with duplicate data being sent into other services. Yeah. Not entirely sure if we can dedupe on the other side. Is there some way to dedupe at Prometheus? I don't think so. I think people do generally just scrape from both Promethei, and then I think that a system like Thanos or similar can do some deduping for you. I do not know that for a fact, but that sounds familiar. I haven't looked at Thanos a whole lot, and probably since the last KubeCon San Diego, so it's been at least 6 months. I think Thanos would help you. I know we are deploying Thanos at work. I know DigitalOcean was deploying Thanos as well. It is an excellent product. It's excellent software. Basically, it adds like those upper management layers around Prometheus, things like the deduplication, long-term storage, etc. Have a system between Prometheus and external services. Yeah, and Thanos could be that system. I think that's probably the way to go. But that being said, I don't know for sure. That's my best guess though. Cortex is also very cool, but the Cortex requires a lot more to get running. Thanos, you can kind of pick and choose pieces. And also the maintainers of the two projects work in tandem. So there are features coming from one to the other and being shared. So they're both very good. Cortex is meant for like more of the software as a service type thing, whereas Thanos is good for like, I have lots of Promethei and I want to aggregate them. Thanos is good for that. So give it a go. Give it a go. And I hope it's useful for you. Unexpected. Monitor received values. Unexpected. Monitor default route values. CoreRAD monitor. Mon default route. Woo! We have default route monitoring. Easy enough, huh? Happy with that. Because the fixed time is Unix 0, we can use router lifetime in seconds directly as the timestamp for when the default route would actually expire. Yep. I should run Thanos here at home. I've been meaning to give it a go for a while. I wonder if it's integrated into NixOS yet. Let's find out. Let's see here, NixOS. Thanos? It is. Thanos compactor, sweet. Thanos downsampler, Thanos query, awesome. So this should be pretty easy for me to get up and running then on my my box. Thanos receiver, Thanos ruler, Thanos sidecar, Thanos store. Yeah, awesome. I'll have to give this a go. This will be fun. Not that I need like long-term, highly available storage for my home Prometheus, but it's a lot of fun, right? We haven't looked at the Grafana dashboard in a couple of days. Let's check that out. One sec. Yeah. Gotta grab the creds. There we go. All right. So you can see the current status of the stream. So I built a keylight exporter as well. So my keylight is currently on, as you can see. The brightness is 25%. The color temperature is 4200 Kelvin, a nice solid middle ground. You can actually see the peaks of my microphone, how long it's taking to render frames. Looks like I had a couple of lagged frames. 30 frames per second output. I can't do 60. I don't have that cool NVIDIA NVENC encoder that Stoppelberg and some others have. Super jealous. Outputting locally at 12 megabit per second and remotely at 6 megabit. So very cool. Looks like the Thanos daemon sits next to Prometheus and pulls data out of TSDB and shifts it to something like S3, but there's nothing in there that would then dedupe that data before it gets to long-term storage. I think that might be the Thanos downsampler, but frankly, I'm not sure. Check out the website. I'm sure they probably describe all the common use cases. I'm unfortunately out of my depth. 60 FPS minimum for coding. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. You know what's funny is this machine I feel like should be able to push 60 FPS, but my frame rendering times just get a little high, and I start dropping a few more frames, which is annoying. So I think 30 is probably okay for coding. Yeah, I think it's super funny. Somebody was like, "You run Prometheus at home?" And it's like, yeah, of course I do. It's super fun. I run Prometheus. I run Alert Manager. That's how I can find out when something breaks, you know? That was you. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's pretty funny. All right. So we're coming up in about 2.5 hours. I think probably we'll cap this one around 3.5 today. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Don't want to go super long tonight. We're gonna get some dinner and hang out. And also it's Sunday, so I should probably take a break. So monitor default route expiration time. "30 FPS is pixelated, not watchable." So you know what's funny is I have 60 hertz monitors here, and I frankly don't understand the elite gamers need for more than 60 hertz. You know, like everybody's like 240 or bust, but it's like, can't the human eye not really see much more than 30 anyway? Like 60 should be enough. So I don't know. No breaks coding from dreams too. That happens sometimes. I definitely do code. I definitely do code in my dreams from time to time. That has happened before. Cool. Okay. Pevgon, thank you so much for the follow. 144 hertz is the best investment I did for the PC. Interesting. So I'm not really a gamer though. Like I'm a very casual gamer. Like I'm playing Polybridge 2 right now. I just reinstalled Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. You know, like I'm an extremely casual gamer. I do not care for FPS really. I used to play Team Fortress 2 and had a lot of fun with that, but I've never cared for like Counter-Strike. That's just me, you know. I played Fortnite, but I played the Save the World. So we played the campaign mode, me and my friends. That was a lot of fun, actually. Add default route expiration metric. Default route expiration monitor metric. Oh, interesting. Okay, so 144 hertz feels like buying super expensive coffee. I can relate to that. Good at first, but then you can't go back. I see. Yeah, I just wanted large, good displays. I got 3 Dell Ultra Sharp U2718Q. They're nice. I'm very happy with them. Okay, so you haven't done it yourself, but that's what you've heard. Gotcha. Too cheap for that. Yeah. I have a habit of overspending on stuff that I'm like all about. Like, sure, I could have put like a $10 light, but instead I bought this $200 Elgato key light that I can control using a Go program I wrote. You know, pretty funny. Are there any other metrics we want today? Being able to watch the default route is going to be a big win for me. That nerd top went to 11. Yeah, I mean, I hate installing like a proprietary app to do something as silly as that, you know? Like, I'm here at my desk anyway. I might as well be able to tweak my lights parameters, you know? Like, why not? The Linux integration tests are continuing to fail according to GitHub. Okay, let's run the... We haven't done this in a long time. Let's run the full development loop. Scripts test loop. This is actually going to run the test for everything using the integration mode as well. So we do this. Oh, they did fail. Wow. What did I break? Excuse me. I guess I probably should be running the integration test more often, yeah. That time they pass. Yes, they flap. I see. That's unfortunate. Test flaps are kind of the worst, right? That time it failed. Okay. Expected timeout error, but got nil. Okay, so bad hop limit. ACM XYZ. Thank you for the follow. Okay, let's look at the advertiser tests. This is gonna be a day. What line? 60. No. Linux test. Bad hop limit. Did I break this? All right. I guess really quick, let's modify the test script just to run this test. Let's see if we can track this down. This would probably be a good exercise. Some of these tests are flappy due to things like the operating system configuring like duplicate address detection and stuff, and that stuff is really, really annoying. So, wish I could fix it, but I have not yet. I'm going to pick up the NetFlow thing again, but do it in Rust. Yeah, rewrite it in Rust, right? Should I rewrite CoreRAD in Rust? That's not going to happen. Let's see how quickly I regret that. Rust is cool. You'll like it. Interesting. Yeah, so it received a message. It said it's ignoring it. Oh, you know what I did? I think that when I tweaked the timeouts to be lower, I probably did not change this test wherever it was. 1 second, yeah. Oops. Expect a timeout, did bad hop limit. 10 milliseconds. I've written Rust like a year now, love it a lot. Awesome. How did you get into it? The Rust book on their site? Half the Rust book just did a bunch of coding. It takes some getting used to. Yes. I think Rust is a language where you should probably read a book first. I read this, the O'Reilly book. I thought this was quite good. I hear the Rust book is good as well. I have the 2015 edition. I should get the 2018. So I read that book just to understand things like, lifetimes, ownership, etc. at the borrow checker. And then I wrote this. So I did an implementation of the monkey programming language from interpreterbook.com. I did this in Rust. So I took this book. I already knew Go. I basically read the code, read the ideas, and translated them to Rust, and this is the result. So I had a lot of fun doing this. I thought this was actually really awesome. Yeah, do it in Rust, honestly. I guess I don't know how familiar you are with Go, but for me, doing it in Go, I think would have been kind of a waste of time. Because, I'm already so familiar with Go as is, and, well, I don't know. I don't think the book is really meant to teach you Go, right? It's meant to teach you how to write an interpreter, but I wanted to do it in a different language because I wanted an excuse to write Rust, and I figured this was a big enough project where it would be quite interesting. So I'm really glad I did this. Let's see here. Is there anything very fun in here I could show you all? Yeah, Rust is cool. I love Rust enums and the match statement. This is awesome. The question mark operator being able to bubble up results is awesome. Yeah, being able to match all these different types, matches like a switch on steroids. It's amazing. Yes, this is a stack-based virtual machine that can interpret all these different opcodes and actually like run language stuff. Currently writing compiler in Rust. Nice. Working on it for almost 2 months, I think. Yeah. Matches with destructuring. Yes. Destructuring is awesome. Is that pretty similar to how it's used in Ruby? How what are used in Ruby? I'm sorry, I think I might have missed your the question mark operator. Hey, what's up, Off the Band? Welcome. Yes, writing compilers for fun. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I want to learn, right? So, or if you're talking about Trolled Woods, then yeah, writing compilers is fun. So, I would recommend. Does this work now? Okay, so adjusting that timeout, I think, was the problem. Like, since the tests run a lot faster now. Okay, let's try the full test loop again. Just got to the Sephiroth theme in the Final Fantasy Orchestra thing. Pretty cool. There we go. Test pass. Pass again. Is this going to flap? Yeah, I think it's stuck. It did pass. Okay. There's still a bit of flappiness in these tests. I could do some more work, but it's just tough to motivate myself when I have to deal with so many variables. 81.5% of statements covered. I feel pretty good about that. Lower hop limit test timeout. Test deadline due to new min RA delay. Yep. Perfect. This is why we actually fix our CI problems, you know? This has been failing for a while. Go figure. Cool. Feel good about that. Had to do a couple of rewrites though because I changed my approach several times. Yeah, for sure. So the thing is, when I wrote my monkey implementation in Rust, I was not going for optimum efficiency or anything. So I ended up oh, gonna run off and watch Emily's. Nice. Yeah, do that. Thanks for the surprisingly enjoyable stream. Hey, welcome. Yeah, no problem. Enjoy the gift sub. Yeah, absolutely. Please do come back. Thank you so much. I'll be streaming most weekends, so take care. Yeah, so for my compiler, I ended up, the object system, I believe, ended up being kind of difficult to do because of Rust ownership. I had to do lots of cloning, which is cheating. And I tried to remove as many clones as I could, but there were certain things where, like, there was no way I was going to run it a lifetime through my entire program. Like, I just don't have the knowledge. So I cheated. But that being said, like, I got it working, and with the intent of going back and fixing things, you know. First one had too complicated dependency system. The second one had too complicated recursive type system. Yep, that's tough. Third one I'm working on right now. What's the language? Or is this a language you're creating yourself? Running lifetimes through your program sure is quite annoying. Yes, it is. I appreciate the explicitness of it, but it's difficult. It's my own language. Very cool. Okay. If you have a repo and this is open source, I would be very curious to check it out. We fixed that test. The actions passing? They are. Okay. So far. It passed. Awesome. So everything's passing again. I think my FreeBSD builds are broken right now on a different platform, CI platform, but haven't fixed those yet, I don't think. Cool. So we are at the point now where we have metrics for a couple of things. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, don't worry about committing it if you don't want to. But I'm always just curious to see things. Like, I used to be worried about pushing out bad code, I guess. But these days, like, I try and push early and often because, like, people appreciate seeing the progress too. You know. What was I going to look at? Oh yeah, the configuration file. So we need to set a default lifetime here. 10 seconds. 1 minute. So we're going to test this now and see if the metrics actually pop up in a real build. So make sudo run it. 500 points for Matt reviews my 5K plus changes. Yeah, Dominic already tried that on me. Oh, must be between 600 and 9,000 seconds. Okay. 10 minutes, sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to do some code review and stuff. I think that could be a fun thing. If the change is exceptionally large, I will do my best. But that being said, small changes, of course, are easier. It would be cool to finish out the stream today with a code review if anybody has enough points. That'd be fun. Actually, I should probably try and give Dominic some points back because he spent his points. And am I able to? I can time him out. I thought you could give channel points back to people, but I'm not sure how. Metrics. Grep monitor. So this claims that the default route will expire at this time E09. Cool. Yeah, so that number is incrementing. So we have 4837, 4853. Awesome. So this seems to work. Very cool. Works in real code too. I don't really want to cut 2.6 yet, I don't think. So we'll probably keep working on this for a few more days before I cut a 2.6 release. Is anybody... What else do we want to work on today? This is mostly satisfied my needs thus far. I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming from the ISP that would be useful, but the thing is that a lot of that information is just not as necessary to care about. So we do have the prefix info. I guess that could potentially be useful. The prefix is considered valid for 720 hours. So I guess this is something that could be implemented. If I actually had an upstream router that was doing stateless address auto configuration or Slack, I could do an alert so that if the prefix is about to expire and you still have addresses on that prefix, I could alert on that. But that doesn't apply to my situation, and I suspect it does not apply to very many situations because chances are pretty good you're not doing more than one layer of neighbor discovery Slack, because I imagine any place big enough to need that would be using real routing protocols above the top of rack. Like the top of rack might be advertising Slack, but the above the top of rack is probably all BGP. So, or some interior gateway protocol. You know, it's pretty cool. So I actually heard about, what's it called? There's some Rift routing. There is a draft here, an internet draft for a new routing protocol called Rift for routing in fat trees. So specialized dynamic routing protocol for cloths and fat tree network topologies. This sounds pretty cool. I think it would be pretty fun to try and implement something like this in Go, just for fun, but also possibly totally insane. This could be a lot of work, and it's not like I need it, so, but it does sound fun. Are there any like messages in here, like just message definitions? Types. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought this was interesting. I remember reading about this a little bit a while back, and I was like, oh, new routing protocol. Oh, awesome. So you post your second rewrite. Cool. I will check that out. Thanks. You might be better at this sort of thing than I am, like compilers, so. Neat. Seems rather overcomplicated, the protocol. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know enough about it. I just think it's cool that there is still research being done into things like routing protocols, you know? All right. Let's see here. So Dot Waffle, I know you've been hanging around, so I'm going to give you a gift sub so we can get one closer to our goal of 25 gift subs so we can get more emote slots. So thanks for hanging out. Thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. Enjoy your gift sub. Enjoy your error emotes. Hopefully more emotes coming up shortly. Yeah, of course. Happy to help out. I'm not sure I'm better than you. I'm just a hobby programmer after all. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the thing is, everybody's got different specialties, right? Like as far as like computer sciencey stuff and like algorithms, things like parsing, lexing, evaluation, etc. Like those are not my specialty at all. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm always happy to help out. Folks who are here hanging out in the stream supporting, happy to do that. And like I said, I have an incentive because I want to get all the emote slots on the first layer for tier 1. Bellman Ford question in your last semester course in senior level C network course, computer networks. Bellman Ford. I've never even heard of that. Probably goes to show you how my education was. How many short are you? We are one sub short. I'll probably end up giving up a gift sub or something, or I might give out a few more. But yeah, everybody who's talking right now is subbed. Probably have some quiet folks in chat as well. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of people hanging out. Got some lurkers, Lurkers are the lifeblood of a Twitch stream, right? If you are a lurker robot, please type beep boop in the chat. Of course, people could have the window open and have walked away from their computers a while ago, Hey, there we go. Hey, nice. Thank you so much, Waffle, for the gift sub. I appreciate it. Oh, interesting. Bellman Ford and so Rip uses Bellman Ford. Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Bellman Ford. So I imagine it's probably, I know Rip itself is pretty dated. Is the algorithm still in use elsewhere? Thank you, Acme. Oh, Acme XYZ. I think I read this ACME. I don't know, whatever. Sorry. Acme XYZ and Prof Elements, thank you for hanging out. Yes, that does make 25 subs. Thank you so much. That's great. So now we will get more emote slots. So that's very exciting. Let's see here. Let me check really quick. Yes, we now have 3 emote slots down there. So that's exciting. So hopefully by the next stream, we will have all the emotes on tier 1. Uh-oh, lost my stream manager. Oh no, I had to reload and I had to... Oh, last day of finals, last exam was my networks course. Gotcha, nice. I had a lot of fun with my computer networks course. I didn't learn as much as I had hoped, unfortunately, but I think what I remember learning most about was like DNS, like understanding like how DNS recursion and everything works. And to this day, I still feel like DNS is incredibly overcomplicated for what it needs to do, but who knows? Cool. Well, we're coming up in about 3 hours now. I think I'm probably going to wrap the stream just a little bit early today. We've done a fair amount of work. Let's see here. We can... Actually, I probably want to commit this, actually. I don't think I want the verbose mode anymore. It's just too much, so... I think DNS implementation can be way better. Yeah, I think that kind of needs to like start over, right? Like, I would love to see like a DNS, like... what is it? Shoot, DNS over HTTPS, like, seems like a pretty reasonable... I'd be curious to see like what all that could actually do, but DNS, the protocol itself, seems like so complicated. Like, I suspect there are ways to split it into several protocols, all of which are less complicated, but I don't know. That's just my speculation. Remove -v from test loop. Ever looked at Hesiod? No, I have not. Hesiod. It's like a protocol or a program name service. Interesting. Oh, okay. No, I've never seen this before. I will check this out. I just looked up on Wikipedia. Interesting. Okay, so you store all your password group SSH keys in Hesiod, which is basically DNS. Interesting. Okay. I'll check that out. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Well, folks, I think we're probably gonna wrap the stream now. It's been about 3 hours. It's a pretty good stream length. Usually, we've accomplished a fair amount. I don't really want to get into more right now. Someday I like to go a little shorter if I can. So yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out. This has been a blast. Let's see if there's anybody streaming we could send a raid over to. Yeah, no problem. Hope you all enjoyed it. Of course, thank you all for hanging out. I mean, this is a lot more fun with folks hanging out, you know. So I'm always happy to do this. So I will send you over to one of my favorite streamers. This is Barbarous King. He is streaming Polybridge 2, which is a game I've been playing, and it's pretty funny watching him build horrific bridges. So send you on over to Barb. Should be a good time. Oops. Let's see here. How do I click the raid button? Yeah, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you. It's been a blast. So let's send a quick little raid over to Barb. Maybe spam some error emotes if you have them. That'd be fun. So yeah. With that, we will wrap the stream. So I will see y'all later. Take care.